In this lecture and the upcoming ones, I'm going to show you how to pass data between components. I previously implemented an author component where I just hard-coded my name, but it would be much better if this was passed to the component, such that the component was dynamic. That's what we'll be doing in this lecture. So I have the author component open up, and the first thing I want to do is to remove the data property, because we'll no longer need it. Before removing it, I'll just make a copy of the author object, because I'm going to reuse it in a moment. So copy this and remove the data function here. And let's also remove the author prefix from the templates so that we pass in the names instead of an object. Let's now go to the article component, which is the parent component, and add an author object to the data object. So I'll add that right here and paste in what I copied before. To pass data to the child component, we can simply add HTML attributes to the tag within the template. So let's go up here to the template, and I'll pass a first name property, and I'll set this to author.firstName, matching my data object, and I'll do the same for the last name using the last name property. But to actually make this work, we need to specify which data the author component should accept. We can do this by adding a props property containing an array of the properties that we can pass to it. So I'll add a props property here consisting of an array of strings, including the names of the data properties that can be passed to this component. So in this case, these names match what I added in the template in the parent component. And now we can use these properties exactly as if they were normal data properties, as we've seen before. Let's open up a browser and see what it looks like. Notice how it doesn't quite work, because what we wrote as expressions within the parent component's template was actually passed to the child component as strings. To fix that, we need to use something that you are familiar with, the vbind directive. So let's go back to the template, and in front of these property names, I can just add a colon, which is the shortcut for the vbind directive. And going back to the browser, we now see my name being output correctly. So if you just want to pass in values directly, you can just use normal HTML attributes. But if you want to use expressions and refer to data properties, for example, then you must use the vbind directive. Now instead of passing potentially many properties to the author component, we could just pass an author object to it. So let's do that. So in the author component, I'll replace these two properties and say that it accepts an author property instead. And I'll also go to the template and prefix the properties with author instead, because now we have an object. And within the parent component, being the article component, I'll remove what we had already and write colon for the vbind directive and author equals author, which is a data property. Opening the browser again, everything should still be working. There is one thing to note now that we passed an object to the child component instead of strings. With objects and arrays, we're actually passing a reference to the child component, because these are reference types. So if we change data on the object within the child component, this data is also going to be changed in the parent component, because these work on the same reference to the object or array. This is unlike primitive types such as strings and numbers, where a copy of the data is passed to the child component. So that's just something to keep in mind and watch out for. And that's how to pass data to components.